Hey guys, my name is Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be talking about my earlobes, an odd topic, I know. Hopefully if you're just stumbling across this video, it's helpful. So right now my ears are at 7/16. I don't know what the millimeter sizes are, so I'll put that up here because I don't know off the top of my head. So I'll talk about kind of how I got here and then some suggestions on how to stretch your ears safely but also quickly. So when I was in high school, I think maybe either in a senior year or like just gotten out of high school, I started stretching my ears. This year was up to a 0 and then this one was a 2. This one has been always giving me trouble. So like this year I can just pop this out, no problem. But this one, ooh, I have been pulling and pulling and pulling on this ear, trying to get it to do that, and that's the first time you saw that live. That's the first time that now if I can put it back. But these I could, like these plugs, they have a little stopper on the back, so I could take that off and just take them off the normal way, but it's easier, especially with these bigger ones, than trying to wrestle with that little, these are called O-rings, to wrestle with that to get it back on. But anyway, so I had them stretched like that. My ex-boyfriend didn't like it, which was a dumb decision on my part to let them close up. Well, they never closed up totally. Once I started this again, I started last September and it's now the beginning of August. So a little less than a year ago, I started stretching them again. And so what I did was I got a kit. I did the same thing the first time too, but I got a kit from Urban Body Jewelry. I wish I had kept the first one, but I gave it away to somebody. But they have a kit that goes all the way up from, what's the smallest on here? I think this starts at 14. I don't know if you can even see in there. This little bitty baby one, like you would probably start here if you were just like starting from having a fresh, normal earring sized piercing. I actually, when I got my ears pierced when I was, gosh, in like 3rd or 4th grade, there were no like jewelry shops that pierced ears in my town. So we had to go to a tattoo shop and get, a piercer to do it. And he used, I think, a 12 gauge needle to pierce my ears. And of course, me being in like 3rd or 4th grade, that was a disaster. There's blood everywhere. So that might be why I've had problems with this ear stretching, because of like just leftover scar tissue from that. And then the only jewelry that my mom would not let him put a 12 gauge like, jewelry in there. So we had to go across the street to like this little kids clothing store, and the only earrings they had were like teeny tiny. And then my ear like healed around that. That was not fun. We had to use pliers to like cut it off. Anyways, the kits some of them start as small as 16. I think a regular earring is technically 18. Could be wrong, but I feel like 14 would still be pretty easy to put in, especially if you're thinking about stretching your ears. Just start like pulling on your earrings like this. That's how I get mine to stretch up, mostly to the next size. It's a little more difficult once you get to the bigger sizes though. But anyway, so I got a kit like this, and then I was able to I started with the 14 because I didn't want to jump too far ahead. Started with the 14, went straight through, went to the 12, and then I think the 10 is where I stopped. So I started with the 10 gauge last September. Then I actually put it in the notes on my phone just so I wouldn't forget or try to stretch too early, because you really don't want to wait any less than 4 weeks to stretch up. But I'll talk about that later. So it took me like 10 days to get to 8 gauge, and then not very long at all to get to 6, and then about 2 weeks to get to 4, a month to get to 2, and then here's where it started getting rough. It took over a month to get my left one to a 0, and then it took another month after that, so 2 months to get this one from a 2 to a 0, because that's where I got stuck last time. And then it took about 3 months to get to 00, and then March, April, May, June. Yeah, about 3 months again to get to 7/16. Of course, around that time though, I mean, I probably could have went a little bit faster from 00 to 7/16, but I just wasn't in that big of a hurry because I wanted to let it heal. And I had some jewelry that I liked that was a 00. So now I'm at 7/16, and the next size up would be a half, and I think that's where I'm going to stop, at least for a while. So this is just my experience. I read so many blogs and watch videos and of like websites of professional piercers, and like the Urban Body Jewelry and all those other places have their own like FAQ sections that talk about the safest way to stretch your ears. I think you should prioritize safety over speed, because you can end up with a blowout, which is not, you don't want that. Or they could be, if you try to stretch too fast, if you don't blow out, they could look just nasty. So that's, my lobes have kind of stayed pretty healthy looking, like normal, because I'm sure you've seen some people whose ears, they're just look like paper thin on the bottom because they stretch too fast. So what you need in order to stretch them is you need obviously the jewelry, and you probably want a taper. Some of the bigger sizes, they don't really make tapers. I had a taper for 7/16, but it didn't work. I had a taper for 00 that helped, but when I got to 7/16, I don't know what the deal was. I tried to use the taper and it wouldn't go through, but I was like, this has to be, like, it has to be close. So I just took the earring or took this tunnel and stuck it in, and it worked. So I don't know why the taper, like if it was just made wrong or something, I don't know. But if you, so these came with a kit of a taper and 2 tunnels. So you'll want to get the tunnels in. You don't want to leave the taper in. If you absolutely have to, don't leave it any longer than overnight, and be careful how you sleep, because the taper, just the weight of it, can irritate or like rip your ear, so you do not want to do that. It drives me nuts because places like Hot Topic and Spencer's will sell tapers that are decorative, or like that make you think that you're meant to wear it all the time, but please don't. So first thing when you start wanting to stretch, obviously like I said before, just start, if you're thinking about it, just start pulling on your ear, like your earring, and I just kind of pull like straight down, like with my fingers on the front and the back, and just kind of like fidget with it, and it kind of loosens up the skin a little bit. And you also want to start massaging your earlobes like after you take a shower. Now that you're ready to start touching and you have your little taper kit thing, you'll take the taper out, you want to sanitize them with alcohol, and then you will take some lubricant of some sort. I use this Hustle Butter. This package is grimy, so don't pay attention to that, but this is what I use on fresh tattoos, and it works great for me with my stretched ears. I would be careful about using this if you tear your ear, because I don't think, which I mean, this is fine to use on fresh tattoos, so I would think that it'd be okay to use, you know what I mean? Or you can just use an unscented lotion, which may not be as good as this, because this is a little bit thicker than a lotion, and it's going to stay on a little bit and last, because you want it to be moisturizing like the inside of your ear. Take a little bit of that and just massage your earlobe, and then take a little bit more of it and put it on the outside of the taper. And then you want to slide the taper through from the front. Very careful, because honestly, this should not hurt. You should not even feel the taper going through. If it hurts, or if it feels like it's tearing, or like if your ear is starting to get really hot because, you know, it's pulling on it too much, stop. Wait a little bit longer, keep pulling on it, because I think I got impatient one time this whole process, and I forced it through and it shouldn't have, and it got really swollen and like oozy. That's something else, if you know anybody that has stretched ears, they like leak sometimes, but I've only had that really noticeably if it's an occasion where I didn't wait long enough and just forced it through, and it might have torn a little bit. So you've got your taper and then your tunnel or plug or whatever it came with. I would honestly recommend if you have a kit that would come with metal jewelry, just at least to wear while it's healing, because plastic can kind of hold bacteria. So I would recommend metal. That's why I kind of keep these in most of the time. So once you push that through, it's going to be in your ear like that, and then you'll take the smaller end. So this one has a flare on the front, on this side right here. So you want to just kind of, when this is in your ear, you'll just stick them together like that, and then just push on the front like this, and then it should slide all the way through. Tape will come out, and then now this is in. You can leave it in there. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't take it out to try to clean it for at least a couple days. And after that, you'll want to take it out and clean it pretty much every time you take a shower. Sometimes I'll go a couple days, but it just depends on if yours get funky. And then every day when I take a shower, or every day that I do take a shower, I will use a little bit more of this Hustle Butter just to massage it on and then put the earring in. That way, I keep calling it earring, you know what I mean, the jewelry in, and that just helps it to stay moisturized in there. And then also massaging it helps to break up the scar tissue. So what do you do if they don't make tapers for your size anymore? So I've never found any really bigger than a 7/16. So there is a way to do that. There's a couple ways. You could just continuously pull on them and maybe use weights. I would be careful with weights though, because they might, end up tearing. But you can just continue to pull on them, keep massaging them with the thing. That's really the natural way to do it, I guess. But mine would not be anywhere close to where I am now if I had done just that and waiting like that. Because I often forget to be pulling on them. But that is where this stuff comes in. So this is PTFE tape. I think it's, you can also find it like called bondage tape, but it's basically just a thin, I don't know if this is plastic or what this material is, but it is not sticky. Obviously I'm like, doing like that, but it does stick to itself. So there's no adhesive on it. And what you do with this is you would wrap this around your jewelry, and then I usually have to cut, because it's too wide this way, you just have to cut it maybe in half. But you would just wrap this around. I would start maybe a couple inches, like 2 inches or so, and then just keep going up maybe once a week at least. Just wrap it up maybe about 2 inches of this or so, and then to make it like an inch longer each time or so. There was somebody that posted on Reddit that did the math of like how exactly like measurement wise, but I don't think it's necessary to sit there and calculate. I mean, if you want to, if you like numbers, but just to keep making that a little bit longer each time, like every week, and then it'll eventually gradually stretch it a little bit easier than just shoving a taper through. Stuff, if you leave it on for too long, it gets really gross. Like especially if you're moisturizing it constantly, this will get really nasty. So you want to make sure you're changing it out every couple days. Now, what I do, I just unroll it. Like I take the jewelry out, unroll it, and then like measure how long it was. Just lay it next to this on the counter and then cut a piece similar or a little bit longer. And if you want to do this instead of tapers the whole time, you could do that. I just don't think it wouldn't take as much for the smaller sizes, obviously. But I have stretched from 0 to 00 to, I want to say I've gone up 3 sizes, and this one package has lasted me. It looks like there's still a fair amount left. There's a lot on one of these. I don't remember where I got this from. It's always out of stock, so I'll link it in the description if I remember where I got it and it's in stock while I'm filming this. So as far as like wearing jewelry, there's different kinds of plugs, tunnels, that kind of thing that you can get. So one that I like, now these are Chaos Software skins. These are my current size, so I haven't worn them yet. But these are thin, flexible silicone. These come in different colors too, but I like the clear one because it looks like you're not wearing any jewelry, so I will put this on. But do not wear these if your ear is not healed yet. Like wait at least a few weeks before you wear this, like these kind with your current size. So how to get them in, I just kind of fold it in a little U shape and then push it through, and then once you let go of it, kind of should, hello, there, it just pops open like that. And it looks like it's just your ear, So like these are also really comfortable to sleep in. I would definitely suggest if you're finding it like, when you're sleeping, it's pushing on your neck, especially the smaller sizes. The smaller sizes were really painful to sleep on with it pushed against your neck like that. But like the bigger ones, like my current size, not that bad. But I wouldn't leave these in for an extended period of time because they're really flexible, so your ear could start to close up around it, and then you wouldn't be able to get your normal jewelry back in. Then to pull it out, I just take my nail and grab the, if I did it with my dominant hand, that'd probably help. I just grab the corner of it and pop it out. But if you are buying jewelry for your piercing, I would be careful about getting like double versus single flare. So when I first stretched my ears, I didn't really pay attention to that. But double flare is where, kind of like these, where the front is made a little bit bigger than the part that goes inside of your ear. That's called a single flare if it's just like that on one side. But then some jewelry, like I have these here that are my current size, but I can't put them in yet. They are double flare, like big on both ends. And especially in smaller sizes, I've seen some companies make double flares in like a 12 gauge, and you will not be able to put one of those in. I don't know why they even make them. But you have to have a pretty big gap between your skin and your ear. Like if you take it, stand in the mirror, and then you pull down on it, you should be able to like see through to the other side, you know, like over top of your jewelry. And that way you kind of know if it's ready to put a double flare. Because also, if you do wear a double flare, it could get stuck because your ear would close up around it. And so that's why you're always, like, people with stretched ears are constantly pulling on them, so that way they don't grow too tightly around the jewelry and their double flare gets stuck. And then of course there's going to be people that say, well, do you want those when you're older? I mean, I might want them when I'm older, I don't know. That's why I'm not going like astronomically large, and also I feel like it's more likely, something's more likely to happen to it, like if it gets caught, you know, somehow, I don't know. It's just me like worrying about literally everything. But that's why I'm kind of keeping it smaller, because before I was up to a 0 and a 2. It grew back. I can wear normal earrings mostly. But if you go much bigger, like now, it probably is not going to grow back like that because it's stretched pretty far. But there's a pretty simple surgery that you can go get to close them up if you really wanted to. It's not like they're going to be stuck forever. You can get it sewn up. Which I honestly, like, I'm kind of leery of medical procedures, so I think I would probably just live with them being stretched instead of ever getting a surgery, because it just freaks me out. And then once you do that, it's probably not likely you're going to be able to stretch them again if you wanted to go back. So anyways, that was it for this video. Let me know what you think, if you have any suggestions or any questions, anything else to add to this. I might make a part 2 if you have a lot of questions. So click up here if you want to watch my most recent video, or click up here if you want to watch my What's in My Fanny Pack video. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss my face in your subscription box every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at noon Eastern time. And my social media, all this stuff that I mentioned will be linked in the description box, and I will see you in the comments. Bye.